Contradiction number 23. Education equals poor thinking. Men fear thought as they fear nothing else on earth. That is a quote from Jepson in 1960. I do not think there is a quote that expresses the whole notion of a paradigm and the fear involved of facing facts that don't fit into it. However, what is misleading about the quote is that it has thought as its object when, as I have defined in the introduction, it does not manifest much independent thinking. And that's why I believe Jepson would have used paradigm if he understood it, or at least if, paradigm was as popular a notion as it is now. A paradigm is a set of beliefs, assumptions, and processes of thought, and even sentiments attached to these thoughts and assumptions. Furthermore, they are guarded very heavily by deep emotions, so that to speak against a certain paradigm is to trigger a negative reaction from its adherent, whether what is said is true or not. Whether it's talking about socialism or capitalism or Brexit or not, or immorality, pornography, abortion, anything that I've said in the contradiction so far would not have stirred a thought but an emotional reaction to it. And it didn't matter how right or wrong the arguments were. That is what a paradigm is. So any liberal feels angry when someone speaks against diversity. A conservative feels threatened when there is a rise in immigration, etc., etc. Rather than having rational, fact-based debates, which people think that they do, they enter into shouting matches. They feel offended. This is because sentiments and emotions are embedded into paradigms. And without extraction, which is what I'm trying to do here, what this work is trying to achieve, we are deaf to truth, blind to it, and we suffer mistakes. There's another fundamental reason why this is so. Conventional education has systematically abandoned the way of equipping us, the people, with the very tools required for independent thinking, which is logic and grammar. Thus, we may know what to think, but no longer know how to think. Logic is simply the study of the tools of reasoning, with which we structure the information we receive in order to guarantee truth. The most basic form is modus ponens. If my pet Tatu is a dog, then he is a mammal. Tatu is a dog, therefore he is a mammal. Simple. The form is if A then B, A therefore B. If the premises are true, then this form guarantees a true conclusion. Even if I said, if blah then gra, blah therefore gra, I've made a valid argument. You don't, I've made, absolutely no sense at all, but the argument is valid because it fits a structure. It is the machine that guarantees the truth. And once one learns the machinery of thought, they become able to think for themselves. There are hundreds of logical tools that would take more than the lifetime of Aristotle to both learn and master. However, logic only seems to be taught in undergraduate philosophy courses. It is no wonder we live in a world where invalidity passes for truth all the time. The Queen is good, therefore the monarchy is good, or vice versa. Only Kenyans and Ethiopians win Olympic marathons, therefore Kenyans and Ethiopians are good runners. Donald Trump put a travel ban on 7 Muslim countries, therefore Trump is anti-Muslim. Immigrants put pressure on the NHS, therefore we should slow immigration. The point with these examples is not to defend the monarchy, East African runners, Donald Trump, immigration, or any of that. I'm using this to show how easy it is to make a fool out of millions because they lack the logical tools to reason better. We assume that critical thinking suffices for this, but it does not. Critical thinking is an approach, not a tool. It will ask you to think differently, but it will not show you how. Then we have grammar, the basic structure with which we express our ideas. Over a century ago, not only were the educated schooled in grammar, they were masters of it. having to learn grammatically rigorous languages like Latin and Greek. Now, basic English grammar has been eliminated from the core curricula on the ground that it is elitist and uninspiring to children. If this is the rationale, then why aren't we eliminating mathematics? Or arithmetic, generally? What is the point in teaching children what to think if they are not equipped with the very means by which to express their ideas? I teach undergraduate philosophy at a very good, university in England, and very many students simply cannot write decent English. I mean home students. Even at this level, many cannot form paragraphs or write proper sentences. They put colons where commas should be. They merge two or more ideas in the same sentence without a conjunction. Sometimes they write entire essays without paragraphs. This is now the norm. In many other countries where English is a primary language, such mistakes would not be made by students passed in the primary education level, right? Grammar allows us to simplify and organize our ideas so that they can be communicated effectively and economically. Our standards of grammar have simply dropped. That is why so many political leaders today need only express a sentence with a vigor, with some sort of vigor to make it sound articulate. We will not tolerate this. Our services need to be more funded. They are wrong, etc., etc. This is today's standard of erudition, and it is a far cry from the pithy, fluent, and well-organized prose of Lincoln and Churchill. The lack of substantial training in logic and grammar in an age where we are drowning in information is a severe act of negligence on the part of our education system. We have not been trained to think for ourselves at a time when we need it the most, especially in a democracy where our decision-making at the podium booth carries so much weight. What about the education we do have? It is inadequate. From the age of 6, education is primarily an exam-passing exercise. And for most of us, this lasts until the end of our undergraduate or graduate degrees. Schools are now ranked by the grades their students get, and so there is a pressure on both school and student to make these assessments the end game of learning. It is therefore my opinion that education has gone far from the ancient maxim of pursuing knowledge and wisdom. It is instead directed towards a training of the citizen for the advanced capitalist economy, retail, IT, administration, management, defense, entertainment, and many others. That is why logic can be removed from secondary education while maths is retained. I say, in the age of mass media, logic and grammar are more important.